Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. It begins 2,000 years in the future with time-traveling astronaut Taylor addressing his orangutan hostage. Earth's Minister of Science Dr. Zaius accuses humans of destroying the paradise that Earth once was, as this desert is New York. The apes evolved to be real chatterboxes, so Taylor's had enough of listening to them and says goodbye to his new chimpanzee friend Dr. Zira. He takes a cavewoman with him named Nova, as all present-day humans are unable to speak, which makes up for their wildlife not shutting up. They travel up the coast through the Forbidden Zone, where Taylor finds Lady Liberty and realizes that he didn't just crash land on an alien planet. Once he pulls himself together, Taylor takes his new lady friend deeper into the irradiated wasteland in search of a new life. He tries to teach Nova to speak English but gives up after only a few minutes and says that she can just give him some kids to teach instead. They continue their journey into the sandy unknown when suddenly a wall of fire shoots up from the ground and lightning falls from the sky. Trying to escape on the horse, a chasm opens up before them, but when they turn around, a cliff face appears, preventing their return the other way. Leaving Nova mounted while he checks it out, Taylor tells her to return to the chimps if anything should happen to him. For example, he falls through the projection and disappears along with the entire cliff. Elsewhere, two more astronauts from Earth's history have followed Taylor through the time curve and crash-landed in the year 3955. The movie's replacement for the expensive Taylor is the much more affordable protagonist Brent, who tends to his mortally wounded skipper. He's a bit annoyed that everyone he's ever known has been dead for centuries, but luckily soon joins them, leaving Brent alone with nothing but his wits. He thinks he's on an alien planet when a beautiful human comes prancing up on the back of a horse without two brain cells to rub together or a voice to speak. Noticing the dog tag around her neck, Brent asks her to take her to his fellow astronaut, but she follows Taylor's original instructions and takes them to Zira instead. Upon reaching Ape City, Brent is horrified to find it populated by the new dominant species, but by the look on Nova's face, she couldn't care less. They hide in the bushes outside of an amphitheater and watch as the military leader General Ursus addresses the three tiers of primate culture. The gorillas are soldiers and just want to slaughter humans, while the orangutans like Zaius are diplomats and want to use them for experiments. But the intelligent chimpanzees, especially Zira, expresses her distaste for the apes' treatment of the enslaved human race. General Ursus talks on a mysterious force within the Forbidden Zone that's responsible for the deaths of many of his bravest guerrilla scouts. He rallies his like-minded brutes in support of marching straight into the desert to deal with their problem, as he isn't the ripest banana in the bunch. As the speech winds down, Brent and Nova quickly avoid being spotted by a guerrilla guard with his handy snub-nosed revolver. He blindly fires off a few rounds into the bushes and wings Brent, but just assumes that what he was hearing was a bird. Nova leads the now injured stranger into Ape City, where they sneak into the house of Dr. Zira and her fiancé Cornelius. They think he's Taylor at first, as all humans look alike to the apes, and feed the pair while patching up the astronaut's wounds. Meanwhile, General Ursus has a steam bath with Zaius, who finds the gorillas' approach to solving their problem dangerous. He pays a visit to Dr. Zira, who quickly hides the humans in the parlor and holds Brent's bloody rag against her face, claiming that Cornelius hit her. Zaius doesn't care and has just come to warn them to behave, while he accompanies the war party to the Forbidden Zone as a matter of scientific discovery. As much as the couple dislike him, they know that the intelligent orangutan's important to their future and advises him against going. He doesn't listen, of course, and when Zaius departs the home, Brent explains he's looking for Taylor and requires the couple's help to find him. They hand over a map of the area, some food and water, and give Brent a crash course in ape etiquette, stressing the fact that he must never speak. If apes hear his voice, they'll dissect him in their experiments, so the humans set off after Brent first changes into some old rags to better blend in. As soon as they begin riding away, their horse is shot dead by a party of gorillas who run down the escaped humans, capturing them in a net. They bring Nova and Brent back to Ape City, where we're shown the gorilla army using living human targets for training exercises. They're brought back to the jail cells, where Dr. Zira pretends to have a clinical interest in the pair, but General Ursus has other plans. He tells her they're marked for target practice, but when placed into the back of a wagon, Zira fakes locking the door before they leave. Luckily, they're only transported by a single guard, so Brent tries overthrow the coach driver, but he's still a gorilla and beats up the flimsy human. About to rip Brent's arm from his socket, the ape gets clotheslined by a low-hanging tree branch, as our protagonist just keeps getting lucky. Once they gain some distance, the pair transfer over to the unhitched horses, but a party of mounted gorillas soon catch up. They pursue the humans into the Forbidden Zone, where the pair must abandon their horses to outrun the gorillas on foot. Thankfully, evolution took a step backwards in that aspect, and these lumbering furballs can't keep up as the skinny smoothskins descend into a crevasse. It leads to an underground subway system, where Brent finally realizes that he's on Earth, and coincidentally in his hometown of New York City. It suddenly dawns on him that mankind must have destroyed itself through nuclear war, which doesn't seem to bother Nova very much, who just falls asleep. Meanwhile, back in Ape City, the leaders hold a religious ceremony where they pray to the great lawgiver for a successful venture into the Forbidden Zone. Zaius rides at the front of the party risking his life for the name of scientific discovery, but they're briefly halted by a picket line of chimpanzees. The general orders his soldiers to round up all of the chimps into cages like they're no better than humans and have them shot when they return. Back at the cave, Brent sees the gorilla party getting closer and wakes Nova from her sleep to continue deeper into the subway tunnel. They begin hearing rumbling and follow it deeper underground until coming across a suspiciously clean access tunnel. It leads into a wide open area containing the collapsed public library, the music hall, and a freshwater fountain outside of St. Patrick's Cathedral. As Nova leans over to take a drink, Brent's mind is suddenly taken over and he pushes her head underwater in an effort to drown her, but breaks free of the hold over him and backs away through the church doors shouting, "Get out of my head." Inside he finds a man praying to a large gold-plated missile, but he doesn't open his mouth and instead only communicates telepathically. Two more men dressed in the same goofy outfits escort Brent to the council members, where the 5 leaders dress in their favorite colors. At first they question Brent with telepathy about why he's come, but when he claims to be ignorant of who Nova is, they begin with the mental torture. Realizing the human can speak, the mutants decide to talk aloud, which they say is usually reserved only for when they worship the nuclear bomb. They call it a weapon of peace and are the ones responsible for creating the elaborate hallucinations as a deterrent to intruders. The mutant leader Mendez, the divine and invincible, says that their power is only used for peace, but then forces Brent to strangle Nova unconscious. They continue to demand to know what the apes have planned, but Brent insists that he knows nothing and just fled from the city. Meanwhile, Dr. Zaius and the army reach the Forbidden Zone when coming upon the illusion of apes being burned behind a wall of flames. A statue of the lawgiver appears and begins bleeding out of its eyes, sending Ursus and his army into a panic frenzy. The only level-headed one of the group, Zaius, charges forward unfazed by the images, causing the hallucinations to suddenly subside. The army pull themselves together and march on into the ruins of New York City, where the mutants remark that the ape brain is too stupid for their illusions to take. Brent and Nova get taken to the cathedral, where Mendez leads dozens of religious fanatics in prayer called the Fellowship of the Holy Fallout. They sit around singing songs of praises to the Doomsday device, which has enough explosive potential that it could ignite the entire Earth's atmosphere. As their chants reach the words, "I reveal my inmost self unto my God," the mutants pull back their faces, revealing themselves as ghouls who survived a nuclear winter, giving them their psychic powers. After the service, Brent is thrown into the dungeon by a mutant renamed Ongaro to make up for his actual credit in this movie. He finds Taylor still alive, but they don't have long to talk before Ongaro uses his powers to mind control the 2 astronauts to fight to the death. As they slug it out, the mutant sees that Taylor is clearly the better fighter, so he opens the gate and throws Brent a spike club to even the odds. Nova hears from down the corridor and breaks free to find her 2 men fighting and lets out her first word, though it needs some work. The horrendous sound distracts Ongaro enough to break his hold over the 2, who knock him throat first into the spiked cell. The gate cartoonishly swings closed, sealing all 3 inside as the dying mutant reveals his inmost self before bleeding out. Just then Dr. Zaius and the guerrilla army finds the crevasse into the subway tunnels and make their way inside the mutant sanctuary. They come upon the Fellowship of the Holy Fallout on the steps of the New York Public Library and open fire, slaughtering every human they come across. The imprisoned 3 use the club to break the lock and escape the cage, but Brent uses it on the gorilla coming down the corridor. His stray bullet hits Nova in the spine, who dies in Taylor's arms, so he vows to kill every last gorilla like a reverse Diane Fossey. Zaius and the army make their way through the corridor, smashing the busts representing the Mendez family, as this movie has some wildly detailed lore. They locate the female council mutant Albina dead, having already taken poison, and gawk at her blonde hair, as all of humans on the surface are brunette. The guerrillas break down the doors of St. Patrick's Cathedral to find Mendez, the last remaining mutant, praying at the base of the bomb. He primes the operation controls while Taylor and Brent watch from the sidelines, but Ursus loses his patience and has his men shoot Mendez dead. Without having a clue what he's dealing with, he opens fire on the nuke, and when that doesn't work, orders his men to pull it down, as Zaius protests, saying that it'll kill them all. General Ursus just ignores him as the guerrillas tear it down, and Brent works his way around the room to flank the army from the other side. When Ursus reaches for the control, Brent must make noise to distract them, but keeping his head on a swivel, Zaius spots Taylor sneaking up from behind. Ursus spins around and shoots him, so Brent kills the general with a bullet to the back, and a large shootout begins with the rest of the army. They trade bullets back and forth until eventually one gets through, hitting Brent in the head and killing our lead protagonist. With his last bit of life, Taylor blames Zaius for bringing about doomsday, then falls upon the controls, sending the screen white as the Earth is destroyed. And the movie ends.